Hi, everybody. So we are here with Hopi and GracieEm to talk about the new song, This Moment, and I guess poll again, parentheses.
Yeah.
Okay. So we asked a few family members, friends. Gracie did a Instagram poll, so we have a few questions that we're going to answer here today. So if everybody's ready, I can start reading off some of the questions we have. Sound good?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So the first question we have here, nothing's in any particular order, but the first question is, how did you two meet and become friends? And then how did you end up writing the song together?
Good question.
So we met at the Lake City Light songwriting retreat hosted by Joy Dame. Um, to be honest with you, I was super nervous going because I knew like everyone there were just more experienced with like songwriting. They were all artists, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of like a noob. Even though I like write songs like throughout my life, I just felt really um like nervous about meeting everyone. But honestly, once me and Grace met, we totally connected. We had so many similarities. And one of them actually being we both at the time hadn't released a song at the time. So that was something we shared. And it was one of our goals was to release a song and let God use us through that. So this moment, the song we're releasing was actually came out of that song retreat. So we really connected through that song and everything.
Yeah, I agree. And it was the same for me. I had never been to a songwriting retreat at all. I had never co-written before either. So it was a
Hmm.
first time for me too. So we kind of bonded over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so going into our next question here, great answers from the both of you guys there. And this kind of goes back a little bit. Before that, what got you both into music? What started the whole music journey for both of you guys?
I'd say for me, I always grew up with music as a part of my life. Um, my dad had us doing piano lessons when we were little. So since I was 7, I always did piano lessons. And then as I got a little older, my teacher, she was actually classically trained in voice. So she would kind of teach me and work on songs with me for a while. And that kind of just was always something that was a part of my life because I had to practice every week because I had a lesson every week. So it kind of I would say forced, but I wasn't forced because I enjoyed it. But it kind of was an encouragement to keep me doing music, and um, so kind of from that, just growing up with music being a part of my life, and my dad's musical, and my mom sings and stuff. So it kind of just all morphed from being young.
Hmm.
And then, of course, wanting to write music was something that I always kind of wanted to do, but I never felt good enough or like I knew how to do it. Or um, melodies always came really easy to me, but lyrics did not. So I just never really thought that that was something that I could do. But look, I guess here I am now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about you
What about
then,
you?
Hopi?
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same. We're just like growing up, music has always been just something that was a part of my life. I looked up to my dad a lot of the times because he played piano, guitar, he sang on worship team. So just seeing his heart for the Lord and worship really stirred something in me. I honestly wanted to be just like him. And so I remember asking him when I was a little girl, I was like, Dad, can you show me how to play the piano? And he sat me down one day, just showed me a bunch of chords. And honestly, since that day, I kind of just branched off and um, the Lord gave me the ability to play by ear. So that was a really big thing with like writing music because the melodies came really easy and finding the words that just kind of through the Holy Spirit alone, I guess, helped with that.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's always been a huge part of my life. I just want to continue serving for God. So that's why this song release is so important because we're finally getting this out on the table, out for the world to build his kingdom. So yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
really
like that
sweet.
answer a lot. Okay, moving on. Let's see. This question is, what was your inspiration and process of writing this song? Did you start with a concept for the song, a melody, some lyrics? And once you had the first part, how did you build off of that? Do you write your tunes or words first? So, just I guess the question is your overall kind of songwriting process. How did that work for this particular one? And obviously, I think you both are new to the writing aspect, so I don't know how you know much it would um, be for other songs that you've written because you haven't done that many. But for this one, how did that process go? Grace, if you want
Do you want
Who
to
to
wants to
answer
go?
first,
open
Grace?
there.
I feel like I'll build off of
Well,
you because I'm
okay, so first of all, let's do some honorable mentions. Um, Joseph, my brother, actually wrote this with us, and Caitlin
mhm,
Doyle. So this
yep.
song came out of that Lake City Lake Songwriting Retreat last year. Um, and it was the a co-writing group of the four of us. And if I recall correctly, like Hopi and I had a little conversation like a couple hours before. We hadn't really talked to each other at all yet, like the first day, and we
Hmm.
kind of just talked about it. Like, oh, I realized talking to you that we had really similar styles. Like we wanted to write more singer-songwriter or stuff Christian music as opposed to maybe the normal worship music for church or things like that.
Hmm.
And so when I got in a group with you and my brother and Caitlin, I was like, now seems like a really good time to bring some of these lyrics that I had sitting down on a page from like 6 months or so before that. And I think, at least if I remember correctly, I had some lyrics and a tiny blip of a melody, and then we kind of just built off after that.
Yep. Yeah, I totally remember that because she had these lyrics that I saw them and I was like, okay, these are magical. These are for sure going to be a really sweet song. So getting to build that melody with what Grace had started with and those lyrics was super special to me because usually I try to do the melody first, and that was different because she had some of the lyrics already that was brought to the table. So then, yeah, getting those melodies down was really something because we didn't, I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a lot of um different melodies about that song. Like once you listen to it, you'll find that there's some things that don't really sound like the typical singer-songwriter song. Like we added some little things, some minors here and there. So like keep a listen
Mm-hmm.
and look out for that too.
In a way, you're building the melody based on what you're saying in with the words in the song,
Mm-hmm.
and so that affects the whole sound of the entire song because of of starting with that idea to begin with, and then building off of that melody wise. Kind of echoing what you're
Yeah.
saying in the way that it feels and sounds too. So I don't know if you had something else you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to add, Grace, or if you wanted to move on.
Well, I was just gonna say that I remembered kind of coming in there with those lyrics, and I had a little melody idea, and then immediately Hope just started like playing little ideas on the piano. And a couple times, like we were humming together, and we'd hum the exact same thing, and I was like, "What?" Like even these little runs, we did the
Mm-hmm.
exact same thing, and I remember I was like, "What?"
Uh-huh.
I was like, "I how is this so similar?"
I know.
It was so great working with you, and it was great working with Caitlin and Joseph because they both brought little pieces to the table as well, like little
Hmm.
words here or better ways to say something, and so it was a good
Yeah,
group for
it
sure.
was. Yeah, it was nice
Yep.
having that because everyone had a certain role. Like it wasn't like
Mhm.
one person was working more on it than the other. Like everyone fairly had a role of whether it was structure or lyrics, melody, or just finding what flows best with the song. We had a great team for that, and I really feel like the song came out to be so beautiful because when you write a song, sometimes in the end you change a couple of things. We only changed a couple like lyrics. I think all the melody was the same, so this song really came
Hmm.
out to be very set, very structured. So that was a really good
Mm-hmm.
thing about it too.
Yep. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Hmm.
Okay. Our next question here is probably a question for Grace to answer, and that is, who does your recording and producing?
So for this song, Ben Tackett produced this for us, and I met him, I think about 2 years ago when I was looking for somebody to produce my first single, and he has been really great to work with. I know that you haven't really communicated too much with him, Hope, but I think that you would agree the same that he's done an amazing job.
Oh
And
yeah.
he did a really good job with like getting the feeling that we wanted. Um, Again, not to spoil too much, but we kind of wanted this very um, we wanted the song to be pleasant and joyful and peaceful, while of course still holding a little, because we have some minors in there, so holding at least a little touch of some depth that kind of draws you into it. It's not all just like slap
Hmm.
happy either. And
Yep.
he did he did so good. And so Ben produced that for us, and then the recording. Um, my dad, he is actually into a lot of audio stuff, so he has a lot of microphones and recording equipment. So he provided his talents with that and set us all up over here at the house. And so he was kind of our vocal recorder, and Ben was our
Hmm.
producer.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think here you have a fun fact here to share
Oh, okay.
at some point there. Um,
Hmm.
and do that now. And just kind of let them know this little fun fact that you had. So go ahead.
Yeah, so we recorded this song at like 2 and 3 in the morning. It was not supposed to go that way, but there was a songwriting retreat this year, and Hope and I were there. And then she came to my house afterwards with plans to record, and she had to go back home the next day. So we didn't have any
Hmm.
time to kind of any extra time. And my dad had brought all of his equipment only to find out that there was a couple things that he missed getting, and they were very crucial. And so he had to go all the way out to a guitar center, like an hour away or something, to get what we
Hmm.
needed. So we
And
did
just so
have some really
everybody
good,
knows, Hope lives in a different state. So it's
yes.
not like
Oh
we're,
yeah.
oh, we can do it next week or something. We
No,
are in completely different states. Grace and I are in Michigan, Hope is in Wisconsin. So it was like, now's the time. Otherwise, who knows when it's going to get
yeah.
done. So
Yeah.
it was a time crunch
We
for
didn't know when
sure.
it would happen otherwise.
Uh-huh.
But we got some good quality time in what we made. But then once he got there, it was now or never.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
obviously, that wasn't the whole song because there were parts we recorded different days. For example, Joseph does background vocals in the third chorus,
Hmm.
so we have to give you some honorable mention for that too.
That was very entertaining fun fact there about all of our uh uh not late night, I should say very early morning activities for this for the song recording. And we kind of already answered this question, I think, in a way, but you can expound on it. This question is, how did you navigate production processes living so far away from each other and from your producer? Because other people may also not know, like I mentioned, we're in different states, but the producer, Ben, is in North Carolina. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yes. So
I
Um,
always
it's
get confused between north or south.
everybody's in multiple states. So how did you kind of work that all out?
yeah, so Grace already touched on this, but when I did visit for the Michigan songwriting retreat, I ended up staying at her house for a couple of days. Super short time, but we wanted during that time to get all of my vocals done. So we were at least in person for that because sometimes it can get a little messy with songs when you're like sending all these vocals from when you're in different areas rather
Hmm.
than being in one place. That's so much better because you're actually in tune with the person. And Gracie was able to sing a little bit as well and get some of hers done. She kind of had like a rough draft, I would say, of her vocals throughout the song so that I could sing over it and have all of mine done. So that was at least how we got our vocals done. And then Gracie went back, of course, to like redo any other parts that she needed for her vocals. Because once she had my harmonies in, it was super easy for her to get all of hers done. So,
Yeah, right.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then when you're working in the same space, you have that cohesiveness of the sound. And,
yes,
we're working in a house, so I don't know about acoustics, but it's the same acoustics at least.
they were good acoustics
Yeah.
though.
My dad was clapping around the room trying to find the right
Uh-huh.
spots for
Yeah.
And
so
then the Ben, the producer, he's in North Carolina, so um, that was mostly all virtual, I would say, correct?
yes. Yep. We just were like, this is what we want it to sound like. I'm not sure what instruments you should use, but this is the vibe that we're going for. And he he did a really good job without even, you know, really working with us in person.
Next question is, how long does it take, hours slash days, to put a song together, melody, lyrics, etc.? And how long did it take to put this song together? I'm sure this varies a lot depending on on different people and how different people's production processes work. But for this particular one, how did that work and how long did it take you guys?
I would say honestly for this song, I believe totally in my heart this was a total God song. Like he was moving in all of our hearts when we were writing this. So this was only like I would say 2 to 3 hours. Like that is very good, very fast for writing a song, getting all the lyrics, all the melodies and everything done. And again, like I said before, we didn't change much after we had it all written. Like this song was pretty
Hmm.
much set and done after those 3 hours. So it was a very quick write, but I believe that was because God was inspiring a lot of the write with what he wants his people to hear too through our song and everything. So yeah, it's
Yep.
normally can be longer too. Some songs, you hear they start day one and then they end like a couple weeks later because some songs are different in other areas. They take longer to write. You have to put more detail, maybe more thought into some of them. But this one totally felt like a God moving song.
Hmm.
Yeah, it
So it was
was.
pretty quick.
And then of course there's the production process on top of that, but that was that initial kind of that's all of the backbone of the whole song that was put together in that section, lyrics,
Hmm.
melody, and then the backing track and everything came after that. But um go ahead, Gracie,
Yeah,
I
I
think you
would
were gonna say
say
something.
start to finish. I mean, we wrote this song almost, I think we wrote this a year ago in July. So, it's
Yeah.
a year old. Took us a year to write it and get it out about.
Hmm.
But yeah.
um and this again, it kind of falls into what Hope just said, which is how much did you lean on the Holy Spirit or Scripture to get the songwriting process going? And Hope you touched on that a little bit of the inspiration, the Holy Spirit inspiring the
Hmm.
whole you know time that it took, and that in that particular time that we wrote the song.
Which one of us is good?
So wait, can you say a little bit how like when you had some of the lyrics, like I don't know fully, maybe like tell some of the story behind them and if like the Holy Spirit gave you that too. That I feel like that'd be cool to say.
So yeah, like when I had once you hear the song, parts of, or a lot of the first and second verse, I had some lyrics like written down, but they weren't cohesively put together. I didn't know where they would go like that. But I wrote those lyrics when I was out one day on a lake, and I had just been spending some time with the Lord, praying, and I like to talk to him out loud myself because it just helps me get things out, and it was kind of cool outside. I think it was probably spring or kind of ending winter. So it was cold, but the sun was really warm and was peeking through like the tall cattails and grasses. And at the time talking with him, I just really found myself kind of speaking just in the moment when I was feeling like and what I was seeing, like his beauty and his love. And it felt as if the sun like warm on my face and stuff was him, there with me and holding me, so that's kind of, I really just wrote down what it felt like and what I've noticed at the time. And then when we brought it together, all of us, these songwriting retreats are very um they're very spiritually motivated, and we pray before rites and all of that. So we definitely um, go in kind of giving up our own agenda to kind of just see what happens in the room and where God moves with us. And that's where he moved that time. I really just, um, honestly, those lyrics, I was just going to keep them to myself and work on it by myself. Like I didn't plan to bring them in. It's just once I got to the room, um, it just felt so strongly like these are the people that you need to bring this to. You should work on it with them. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember I showed you some of the lyrics that I had, but then I described that moment again to you. And while I was talking, you just sat there typing different things I said down. And then kind of afterwards, we looked at what I'd said and we kind of pulled little pieces. Joseph added stuff, Caitlin added stuff, you added stuff, and um, it was a group effort for sure. But yes, the Holy Spirit was definitely leading in that moment and 6 months beforehand. And I think it's
Yeah.
really I always like when you see him start moving months or years in advance, and then you see where what he had planned for it. You're like, wow, I never
Mm-hmm.
would have guessed. You knew
Mm-hmm.
all what you were gonna do with this, but I didn't.
That's
So
so cool. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
in
Like,
those,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was just gonna say in those moments, it's like you see the little brush strokes, and then as time goes on, you start to see the full painting in a way, for lack of a better
Mm-hmm.
word, that God's putting together, and you start to see that beautiful piece of artwork that's being created, and that's putting
yeah,
in a different light than a song, but it's that kind of feeling. But Hope, you were
Yeah.
gonna say something?
I was just gonna touch on what she was saying that I don't know. When I hear things like that, I think it's super beautiful how God moves like that. Like, how could you have known though that 6 months ago that God was gonna turn it into this wonderful thing for him and his glory? Like, isn't that so cool when we get to contribute for God and his glory? Like, I
it
love stuff like
is.
that. That gets
That's
me so
I mean,
motivated.
I mean, for me, and I'm sure for you and the rest of us, that's why we write music in the first place or
Yeah.
share it. It's not we're not trying to be about ourselves, or we're
Mm,
not trying to be famous or have lots of money or anything like that. We just want to um do this for his glory and share his messages that he puts on our hearts. And hopefully, I say to my mom all the time, if even only one person found this song a blessing to them, that's enough for me.
yeah.
That's and honestly, I might be that person. The songs touch me just as much. I write them because not, I mean, I write them for myself in the sense of what I'm going through or what's on my mind. It comes
Hmm.
out from within. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely our purpose for what we're doing in the first place. Because
Hmm.
to bounce off my other song, we're created to create, you know,
Hmm.
for
Yes,
Yeah.
His glory.
indeed. Still got a lot of questions to go. So these
Yeah.
next few should be easy to answer. Um, does your mind ever go blank when you're trying to come up with lyrics? Do you get writer's block?
Yes. I'll say from experience. It's kind of like school when I'm working on something, all of a sudden, like if I'm working on a math problem, trying to solve something, my mind goes blank. It's the same type of thing with writing music sometimes. I'll have this wonderful melody I totally love, and then I'm like, I can't think of any good lyrics that fits this. Like I need help. So that's the other thing too. With the songwriting retreats, if there ever is a writer's block, there's always someone there that usually has a good idea or a good song
Hmm.
lyric output for that. So, but I'll say for experience, I've definitely had that before.
Right. And when you're
Yes.
working with a group of people, you kind of have that other support that can kind of get you over those bumps in the road.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What individual or individuals have been the biggest support and or inspiration in your songwriting journey? So Grace, you want to answer this first, and I can go to Hope.
My, my mom and dad, first of all, have been. Um, my dad, well, they're both musical. They've always encouraged me towards music. So part of that is just I credit some of my desire for music just based off kind of what they surrounded me with when I was little. And they've been really supportive and encouraging in this. If it wasn't for my dad, it was his idea to um, get a producer and like try and record a song. Just in the beginning, it was just to have, but then things, kind of moved on from there. But they've been really inspirational to me, and he's actually my cousin. He's my dad's cousin, so he's my first cousin once removed. He's like 40 something years old. He's more like an uncle to me. His name is
Mm,
Wayne, and he is, if it was not for him, I would not have any songs out right now. I probably wouldn't have even written. He has been such an encouragement and light to me. I don't see him very often because he lives in Tennessee, but when I would visit him, we'd go out on the porch and he'd play guitar, and I was always reserved and very kind of closed up about singing in front of people. I sang for like recitals and stuff, but beyond that, I didn't really just sing for people. And he really kind of slowly busted me out of my shell with him, and he forced me to, have fun, do vocal runs, and like just really kind of uh, get out of that bubble, explore my voice more. And he's always been such an encouragement. He's always said how I should write, music and just kind of like finish it and do one. And so definitely, if it wasn't for him, I do not think I would be releasing this song with you guys today.
And Hope, I know you mentioned that your dad had a lot to do with your musical journey. But yeah,
mm.
go ahead and you can share.
Yeah, so for sure my dad already mentioned him before and just how he inspired me to just really get into worship music. Um, but even just throughout the last few years, like pretty much my family, my fiance, Cade, they've all been super supportive of me and just kind of cheering me on, like, yeah, you can release a song like this can be a real thing. Like you just have to believe um that you can do this through God. So that's something me and Grace are doing. Like I get the honor to co-release with her. It makes me so happy. Um, just real quick, a little thing I'll mention is that growing up, I don't know if you guys know um, the Christian artist Carrie Job.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
She
Very
was
familiar.
like the biggest inspiration for me growing up. Like I saw her heart for the Lord. Um, when she would go live for worship, I was like, okay, I want to be just like her. All the recitals, any song competitions, like I would always choose her songs. So even just getting to release this song in a few days, like that's gonna be a huge thing. And I know she'll probably never, well, I shouldn't say never, but I give her a lot of credit. Like I believed in her so much that it almost like made me believe in myself in a way. So I just really I'm so happy that, she kept pursuing God, even in her hard moments. Like she would write songs about it. Like she just really
Mhm.
had this heart for the Lord and heart for music. So that was a really big inspiration growing up for me, was Carrie Job.
Yeah, that's
Very
sweet.
nice. And I think we have some non-music related questions, so we'll get to know you
Mm.
guys a little bit more on your personal level, I guess. Um, what are some of you guys' favorite hobbies outside of music? Sports you enjoy watching, playing, etc. Hope if you want to answer this one.
You said out of music. Okay. Pretty much my whole life is music. No. But I do a lot of sports. Like in high school, volleyball was a big one. Then I did tennis my senior year. I'm just taking a small break right now of college tennis, but I play for the MSOE women's Raiders team. So definitely those two sports I love. I love swimming, love going to the lake, boating, tubing, skiing, all that good stuff. Hiking, working out, that's a big one too. I've been getting into working out, trying to like build my temple that God's given me. So trying to honor him with my body and everything through that. And I guess school, can school be a hobby? Because I'm actually starting to like part of it this year. As weird as it sounds, I'm liking school, guys. Like,
Wow,
so
now
that
that's a new
maybe
Hey,
could
one.
that's
be,
good.
yeah. I'll just say real quick. The other day we calculated, and this is like a big part of my major. She gave us this building and the pressure for the top of the building and the pressure for the bottom of the building. And from those two pressures, we had to figure out the height of it. So it was super
Hmm.
complicated, but in a way, I was like, dang, so I could just know two pressures of a building and get all the calculations, conversions, and calculate and figure out what the height is of that building. Like, that was kind of
Hmm.
cool to me. So,
Wow.
though it's hard, it's definitely interesting. But,
And then maybe we should say what you're majoring in,
oh,
if you
yeah,
didn't
so I'm
say that.
going, yeah, I'll say that. So, I'm going to Milwaukee School of Engineering and I'm majoring in architectural engineering. So,
That's, that's exciting.
mhm, yeah.
Hmm. Okay,
Oh,
Grace.
and then
What? Oh, yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, Grace knows I love traveling. Like, she knows that me and Kate are trying to have a destination wedding, and I'm trying to have Grace as our photographer, so we have to talk through that soon.
Yep,
But yeah, I
we
know
do.
you guys love traveling too, but I'll let you speak your hobbies.
Yeah, Grace.
So, besides music, photography is definitely one. I really enjoy that, and I enjoy just being. Well, I like being creative with it, and God's creation, both in nature and humans. You know, it's just really
Hmm.
fun to do that. So I like photography a lot. I would say that I never played sports in like school because I was homeschooled, so that wasn't like a thing. But I did play sports for fun and with people, so I definitely say that tennis and volleyball are my favorites, like kind of like you.
Hmm.
Definitely my favorites. I can't say whether I'm, good or bad, but they're fun for sure, and I we need to play together, most
Yes.
definitely. But those are a couple things that I enjoy out of many. And yes, I do like to um, travel and see God's creation in places. My family and I did a whole out west trip last year. Went through Texas, Arizona, California, New Mexico, and so on. That was absolutely amazing.
That was
I
amazing. That was
definitely want to do it again.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that was
And I
fantastic.
think we should ask Joseph because he's into some very interesting things. Very unique. That's for sure.
uh,
Hmm.
yes, yes, it is unique. I have racing pigeons, which not probably many have people have heard about, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You race pigeons. So that is definitely a big hobby of mine. Um, I've always enjoyed birds of all different kinds. So that's kind of a hobby of mine is collecting different exotic species, whether it's peacocks or pheasants or quail, and then the racing pigeons is another big portion of that too. And plants, gardening, you know, fish tanks. It was all a part of my growing up, and even now that I've always been interested in doing. And science, creation science is a huge, huge thing for me too. That's honestly it ties into everything else. You know, the my physical hobbies and then the creation aspect of all of that is probably my um, biggest passion for all of those different hobbies that kind of drives that forward. So yeah,
And he's
I
very
think
good at it too. He's very good at teaching you about things in a way that makes sense and isn't overly complicated. You're very good at that.
well, thank you. Um, so we have another question, which is Grace and I's little sister, and she asks, "What do you like better, cats or dogs?" So, Grace, do you like cats or dogs better?
I have to go with dogs. I have a dog. She's a golden doodle. She's 11 years old, so we've had her for a long time. She is just the cutest, sweetest. I think, oh yeah, you saw her.
Hope,
Hmm.
is it cats or dogs for you? This is one of life's oldest questions.
It's like the most important thing. Maybe people will listen to our song based on our answer, but we better have a lot of dog lovers out there because I'm gonna say dogs.
What about you, Joseph?
Well, you know what? I like all animals, but I might have to say an answer that's not a cat or a dog because birds have always been my favorite.
Hmm.
True.
So for all the people out there who are the oddballs who want to stand out from the crowd, that's me. No.
I do gotta say, tigers. They are probably classified as my favorite animal though, like a tiger. So I guess you could say that like cats, but
For a
only because
household
that's
pet,
like my
it's a
right
dog.
for household pets, definitely dogs. But a tiger is my favorite animal, so I have to
Hmm.
Hmm.
throw that. I have to give cats a little credit, you know.
Well, and to be clear, I like dogs and I like cats. Certainly, I have a cat. We have a dog, you know, in our house.
Hmm.
But I have birds too, and so yeah. So on to a little bit more of a deeper question here, and that is, how do you deal with internal anxiety or fear that would prevent somebody from stepping out and writing a song? I don't know who wants to
Just,
answer that question, but
yeah, from actually experiencing that before, and I think I talked about a little bit before about the first songwriting retreat. I did have some anxiety. I was nervous to write with these people. I just felt like I was very below them and that I couldn't bring a lot to the table. And that just wasn't the case at all. They were totally this Christian community, like we're called to be in Christ Church, fully accepting, encouraging, like, no, Hope, you can release a song, like you can do stuff like this. It's not too late. Um, so I would say honestly for me, if I knew a person was in the same boat, I would tell them my testimony with that and encourage them like, yes, I felt that way, but honestly, those are lies from the enemy. Like that is not what God um says, and he does not call us to live in fear. And so usually I if I ever find myself in the spot where I have like those feelings that arise like anxiety, like even we're releasing the song in a couple of days, and I've had a couple of times where I've had some anxiety, like, okay, this is real, this is happening. What if people don't like it? But we're not
Right.
called to live in fear. Like, I know God's hand is in this song, so I just have to remember to be bold with what we did and what our group did. Like, we were able to write that through the Lord, and He in His hand is gonna um make it come to life and make it into what He
Mm-hmm.
wants it to be. So honestly, I've had a lot of peace about it. And just for anyone struggling out there, rebuke it. The Lord God, He has so much in store for you outside of anxiety and lies and fear. He wants you to, whatever you have, any little poem, any little lyric, you can make something so majestic for God. Like
Mm-hmm.
anything, He loves that. He isn't going to judge based off of how little or how little experienced you are, because you can always, like, that's where you start. You start somewhere. Like, we've all had a place of, am I going to pursue this or am I going to fall into the lies? Like, we've all had that free will to choose, and you get to choose where God will lead you. So that's honestly what I would say for a person struggling with that. It's just lean on the Lord. He he's the truth. He's the answer for that. So,
I agree with everything you said completely. And again, I was in a very similar boat with you at that retreat and stuff. And I need to give a shout out to Scott DeClaire because he was in my first co-write, and I know for you as well. He has always been so encouraging to us. He has
mm-hmm,
always value what we have to bring to the table and encourage us to bring things to the table and not to be afraid. And to oftentimes we think that our ideas or something aren't good enough, or people will like think that they're crazy or weird, so we don't really bring them up. But I gotta say, the times that I have done that, they were valuable, and people, they were a lot more valuable than I expected them to be. And I think what helped me a lot when I released my first song, because I had a lot of fear in that. I mean, my song talks about that. Was what I really tried to focus on, and this is what my piano teacher always told me as well, like before recitals and stuff, to help with nervousness and everything, is you are doing this for God. Meaning it's not about what other people are going to think of you. It's not about yourself, it's about Him. And so if you go up there and think that you are just here to bring Him glory and worship Him and praise Him in what you're doing, and um, when you think of God as your audience, at least to me, that always brought me a lot of peace. That and and it also helps you to, because there's always going to be haters out there, or people that say that you're no good, or this is junk, or and don't value what you bring to the table. So the opinions of men are very all over the place, and
mm-hmm.
we should be searching for God's good opinion, other people's. But I really, with everything you said, as I would say that too. So I'll just ditto everything. You know.
Okay. Our next question is, what would you say to a young person, or to anybody who would like to start writing their own music?
Do it.
Yeah,
Start
I would
right
say
now.
just start,
Go.
just do it. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people say that, and you're like, what? But it is really what you have to do. That's what I did. I,
Mm-hmm.
I, I mean, I had to come to terms with it. I spent a lot of time worrying about it for years. Let's be honest. But I really just, once I gave it up to God and said, I know that this is what you're leading me to do and pushing me to do, and I don't think that I'm qualified for it, and I don't, I see all these things that I'm not good enough at, but the truth is, you don't have to be good enough at it or perfect. It's, he, there is something in all of us, that God has put in us. And so I think that if you can just start and don't worry about if it's bad. Like, don't try and make it perfect. Just start writing words down, get something together. Because what I noticed is once I finished one thing, like kind of once I broke the ice in those places, it was so much easier to like continue. And you can't get better if you don't start. I had to tell myself that too. Like, if I don't, like, if I want to be better at this, I have to start. I can't expect to sit here and not do anything because I'm not good enough at it. I won't ever get any better.
You got to get
Hmm.
messy and make
So
mistakes,
just do
right?
it. Do it. Do
Yeah.
it. Do it. If you're interested in it, find a group of people like we did that are um Christ, centered, like-minded individuals that you can trust and that can like work with you, co-writing. I
Yeah.
think that was helpful for me to co-write as someone that
Hmm.
hadn't ever co-written. I'd only tried to do things by myself.
Hmm.
Um, so somebody asks, where can we find your song and can we buy it on iTunes?
Spotify, Apple Music, those are the main two. I don't really know many music platforms,
YouTube,
but those are the
Amazon,
main. Yeah.
Instagram. You can actually pre-order it on iTunes right now, which I never really announced that, but it should actually be on there to pre-order now, but you won't actually
Mm-hmm.
have purchased it till it's out on the 8th. But yes, on the 8th,
Hmm.
it'll be everywhere and you can purchase it on iTunes. I think it's $1.29. So
Yeah.
All right.
we can split that
Um,
4 ways.
Hmm.
our next question is, will there be a music video? And if not for this song, will you plan to do any music videos in the future?
I can see myself and Grace making something for this song. I know it's been hard because again, we do live far away, so it's hard to like figure out even our album cover, like when you guys see it, I think it's really unique, but we were contemplating different things. But a music video I can for sure see myself doing with like other people. Even with some of the songs we've written and some of the songs that have come out of the Lake City Light songwriting retreat, I feel like there'd be some really cool music videos.
Hmm.
Me and Grace were in a song with Joy and Abel, like that anthem song. I don't know, I can
Hmm.
just see people like marching out in the streets and just like that'd be cool
Yeah,
if we can get some clips from some
it's
of those like
very
Jesus
powerful.
marches. Yeah, I think music videos are cool. I think they're powerful. I think they um are a good visual for what you're also trying to say in the song too.
Hmm. Yep.
So, Grace, do you think
I would
we could ever
definitely
get
like
a,
to do one.
yeah, same.
I don't know if we'll do one for this song. I mean, we don't have plans for one for this song. Like one isn't coming out. There will be a lyric video, but
Hmm.
I definitely would like to do a music video for some music
So nothing in the works
in
as
the
of yet,
future.
but it's definitely something
Right.
you want to do, whether it's not maybe not for this one, but certainly for future coming up.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure everybody will look forward to it. Let's see. What do you hope people will get out of this song? What message do you want them to walk away with?
Well, just the name alone, this moment whole again, could try to picture yourself in God's presence. Like I kind of how Grace was saying when she felt the sun on her face, she could just really feel the presence of the Lord. When you're in that sort of setting, it is so peaceful. It is so calming in your spirit. And kind of like what I said in the video I released, like why would we ever want to leave that? Like why would we ever want to
Hmm.
leave his presence or find something that we could think would be greater? Like there is nothing out there. We should be always striving to be with the Lord and to be in his presence, if that makes sense. So having moments like that with God, I want, and I'm sure Grace and you guys feel the same way, like we want to encourage just to get into the word more, worship, like know the Lord, get in that deep relationship with him, know his presence, know that feeling, because once you do, it is something you will never want to leave, and something that truly makes you whole again, makes your spirit whole again,
Mhm.
rejuvenating for your soul and spirit too. So,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. This song is um they really try to encompass like a message of just God's um his present comfort and his enduring love through like whatever it is that you might be going, loneliness, heartbrokenness, happiness, joyful. What he's always there. The song is very focused on the joy of the Lord and his presence and his love throughout it, and just to remind us of that. And I hope that when people listen to it, that they will be able to you know feel that presence, while they're listening to it, and that it would
mhm,
warm their hearts and speak to them, as if he were speaking to them, or that they
yeah.
can um, relate to it in ways. So I've already had some people that I've shared it with, just people close to me, like before it came out, and people have some tears over it. Told me, and I don't think I've told you this yet, Hope, but they said the song really spoke to them.
Well,
So
real
you've got,
quick,
oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the few people I've showed to that just mean a lot in my life, they're like, I'm gonna be playing this on my car radio every single day. They're like, can we have it now? Like some of the people, Cade's mom, yeah, she knows, and she's like, can I just have this? I'm like, not yet. We're just gonna wait till the release date. But after that, you can play it as many times as you want. Always, you can always be in the presence of the Lord. So,
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
So our last question of this meeting here, this interview, is future plans for music, and GracieEm, will you be releasing an album?
I don't have plans for an album right now. I'm really just gonna be releasing like some singles here and there. That's kind of just my plan. So no albums as of yet, but there will definitely be more music for sure. I have music that with you that I've written.
mhm.
I don't. Do you want to mention that we have a song?
Am I able to say the name, or probably not yet?
Whatever you'd like, sure. I mean, whatever you
I'll
want to
just
This
do.
is
say this.
exciting.
I'll say,
Whatever you
yeah,
you want to do.
yeah, this is a really exciting topic. I won't, I'll be
We won't
careful
get into it
because,
too much, but
yeah, we won't get into it too much. But this song, it's actually inspired by the movie Sound of Freedom. And we came to this right. It was actually me, Gracie, Shayla, and this producer named Dave. And I remember waking up this one morning at the retreat, like, why is it on my heart right now? Like that movie Sound of Freedom. It was almost like God was speaking to me, saying, like, I want you to write something, or um bring awareness to this topic, and it's a very sensitive topic. So when I brought it to the group, I was like, I don't know everyone's opinions on this, or I know it's a sensitive topic, but I really want to write something about how we're called to stand up for the human trafficking that is going around globally today. So I know that movie just came out, so we're really trying to get the ball moving and rolling with this next song. So just keep a lookout for announcements and
yes.
exciting things for that, because we are super
Yeah,
excited
very
to get this
exciting.
out there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone's going to be on the
definitely.
edge of their seats waiting to hear about that one too. So,
Well,
I know.
we're on the
I'm
edge of our seats.
even I am. Yeah, I'm like, I just want to get it out there.
Yeah, and
yeah,
that was a
well,
perfect group to bring it to, too.
I know, it really was. And everyone had something that they wanted to say about it and that they felt called to do with the song. And I remember at the time Joy was like, actually, Hope, I'm gonna put you with Scott's group. And at first I was like, oh nice. Then I was like, wait, I just knew something was stirring in my spirit. I need to be with the other group. So I'm so happy that I went back because I was just gonna accept like, okay, I'll just go there because she changed it. But I told Joy, I was like, I for some reason just need to go back to the other group. I don't know what it is, but obviously now we know like God had a
Now I
plan.
know.
So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm really
Yeah, we're
excited.
excited
That
for that.
song, yeah, that song is gonna be I feel like a whole game changer for the world.
Get
Like
your tissues ready. That's all I can say.
yeah, seriously.
For
Well, yeah,
sure.
we song shared it and everyone was like crying and I'm
I
trying
cried
so hard
writing
not to
it.
like cry. Yeah, literally writing it. We were just like
Hmm.
it was hard. It's hard. It's an actual thing that's going on and you know, we're not called to just watch it happen or let it happen. Like we're called to stand up for these children. Like they belong to God's kingdom as well. Who are we to watch
Hmm.
them go through that? You know? So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big
definitely
stuff
keep a lookout for
coming
that.
coming down the pipe on the way.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
that is all the questions we have. I think we spent a lot more time than we originally had planned for, but that's fine. That means more exciting things to hear about. So, anyways, if everyone has, unless somebody has something else to add, I think that pretty much covers everything.
Yeah, I think we'll just say, keep a lookout this Friday because
Yeah.
this moment whole again, the two of
Yeah.
us is coming out.
Yep.
Mhm. Super
We'll
exciting.
keep, spread the word out. But yep, keep your eyes peeled
All
and
right.
spread the word to anybody else that you think might enjoy it once it's out. And
Mhm. Let
so
us
yep,
know your thoughts.
yes.
Yep. We want to know. We want feedback. We want to know
Hmm.
just everything you guys think about it. We're super excited for everyone to hear it too. So,
Yep. Or how it touched you or what it meant to you. So
yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
yep.
Thank you for joining us here, and for everybody who ends up watching this. I hope that this answers the questions that you have, and I hope you get to listen to it soon, this Friday. So look
Yep.
Mhm.
forward to it.
All right.
All
Thank you,
right, guys.
Joseph.
All right.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Bye,
Bye.
Bye.
everybody.